So here we go. So we're going to do this. So these are primroses. And the reason I chose primroses is because I come from a little place in southern England, Cornwall. And as a child, we'd go out in the spring. And when we went out, all of a sudden, the primroses were all over the place. And I remember it so vividly. So I wanted to do a decorative primrose for you. And say it's decorative because you can see that these little flowers here have got 5 petals and they're like heart-shaped. But we're going to do our own imaginative drawing here. Now, I just don't want you to put yourself to be put off at all by the fact that we're doing something which is drawing and you might not be certain of that. So you'll see that I am doing a drawing here, but I'm also going to share it with you. So I'm going to do one little flower that goes right here, and I'll do one that goes here. Actually, I'll move this up a little bit so it's further towards the top. Now one here, and then I'll do one over here, and I'll do one here, a little bit further out. So I've got 4 here. So then I'm going to, now the reason I've got the centers marked is because once you've got the centers marked, well, now you can draw in the flower. So this is quite easy. If you can make a little 5 star, like a little 5 little things like this, like a little star. So just make a little tiny star on each one. And then what you do is you draw your petal around it. So then you'll have 5 petals. But here's the deal. The petals overlap. So we're just going to do the left-hand side of the petal. And we're going to go overlapped. There. 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 So it'll look like this. Then this one tucks in behind this one. And this one tucks in behind this one. Tucks in, tucks in, tucks in. And there you have a little flower. Okay, so we'll do another one. Perhaps we can do a better job on this. There's the heart shape. There's the heart shape. There it is. There it is. And you can see it just keeps tucking in around itself. Make this a little bit bigger. There, 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 there. And we'll make this one big too. There, there, there. So these little 5 points are kind of helping me see where to put them so it's kind of even. And then we'll kind of connect these up to the stem. And we'll do it with a little, seed bud at the bottom here. And then what we're going to do is we're going to make this decorative. So we're going to put some decorative leaves in between so it looks really good. This one can come around like this, and then it'll go this way. You can sort of see, and this guy here, well, there. And then we'll have some more. There we go. Almost there, right? So there you have it. There you have a little thing. And I think I can make this top one a little bit bigger. I'm going to erase what I've got. Now I'm using an HB pencil, so it's not too hard. And there's a reason for that. I don't want a too soft a pencil because I'm not going to be erasing all my pencil lines. There we go. And I think this one could go a bit bigger too, don't you? I'm not going to erase all of them. I'm kind of going to keep them there. And what we're going to do is we're going to make some drawings available to you when you register for the class, so that if you want, you can use them. You can download them, and you actually can buy watercolor paper very easily. Now, one thing you might be wondering and asking me without my knowing it is you might wonder, why do I have all this tape here? Well, there's a reason for this. So the reason that I have the tape here, I'm going to just do a couple of little leaves right at the bottom here, just to kind of balance this out. The reason that I have this is because all watercolor paper buckles. So this is a whole, paper binder of these. A paper block of watercolor paper. It's a pretty good one by Fabriano. Not expensive. But, it'll buckle. So what I do is I kind of tape the side. So tape it down to the side, and then I'll remove the tape at the end. And I'll show you how to remove the tape so you don't wreck everything. Okay, good. We're ready to paint. So now we're going to start with some yellow. So you'll want to get some nice yellow. And I'm using these watercolors called Aquamint. Aquamini. And they're by Sennelier. So now Sennelier is a really good brand from France, and they're usually pretty expensive, but you can get this quite inexpensively. And the colors are very saturated, which is hard to get with watercolor. Sometimes it's just, so I'm just going to pop some water in here. Some yellow. And I'm just going to paint the whole shape in yellow like this, see? Each of these little flowers is just going to be yellow. And I'm making it quite... Now, one of the things that we recommend is when you do this, when you have your paints, use a separate palette. You can pick them up quite inexpensively from, even from, a dollar store. But it's really worth it, because the biggest problem you'll have when you're doing watercolor is you'll run out of color. And that can be a real annoying thing. And this is great advice from our professional watercolor artist who teaches our online watercolor class, brilliant guy, Steve Curl. So he taught me that, and I have never forgotten it. He knows what he's doing. And I just have fun with watercolor. I've been using it since I was a kid, and I love it. And most of us do. Now, there we go. That's kind of cool. So now while this dries off a little bit, what we'll do is, while it's still wet, we'll just put a little bit of orange right in the middle, just to kind of gussy it up a bit. And then you can just dab it in. It's wet, and so it'll just kind of ooze out. And that's actually what you want. You want it to ooze out. And the other thing you're going to do is take your brush, and with some paper here, we call this a thirsty brush. Just pick up the yellow from outside, move it in like this, so that we get a little bit of a more paler color on the outside of the primrose, which is actually how they are. Okay. We don't want to make it too white, because otherwise, we're painting on white, you won't be able to see it. And this is decorative. It's not trying to be realistic, you know. And we just want to, but it is a good idea just to make it a little bit whiter on the outside and then darker on the inside. And we've got some other tips on how to make it even better on the inside, but we've got to let it dry off a bit. And it'll do that while we paint our stems here. So I'm going to paint this stem, and I'm going to paint it green here. I'm putting some green on my palette. And I mean, do I want it to be greeny or greeny blue? You know, it's a choice, isn't it? You know, I'm going to add a little bit of yellow into it. And it's a bit too greeny green. So look, I'm going to add a little bit of this orange in. And that'll kind of dull it down. Like if you put red or orange into green, it'll kind of dull it down a bit, which is what I want. And I'm going to just paint in, I need a bit more green. Again, I'll use this fairly, there we go. Yeah, it needs to be quite green for us to be able to see it. And we're going to do the leaves and the stem here. These leaves are not, you know, they're not really, you don't really see it like this, but we're taking creative liberties because we are doing a decorative flower here. That's what we want for the cards. We're doing all kinds of different things. We'll do some gouache painting with Sonia. We'll do some whimsical watercolor with my talented young artist. Yeah, see, I think this is looking kind of cool. Okay, I know I need to go a bit faster, trying to go a bit faster, so I don't keep you here all day, but I can always speed this up a bit. Now, funnily enough, right in the very middle, it's usually a bit green because this is the sort of stem, you know, it's attached to the stem. A little green there. There we go. Now I'm going to just dry it off. You know, you can use a hair dryer at this point, but you'll want to dry it off a little bit. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little bit of oomph in it using these watercolor pencils. So now this is watercolor. It's called a Derwent Inktense, and they're very intense paintings, as per their name. Intense color. So if I add this in here, you can see it's just really gussying up the center here. Okay? Kind of nice. I'm gonna go out from the center like this. And by the way, if you notice, my arm has kind of scratches on it. That's because of a little lovely puppy that has been visiting me that has little sharp feet. I mean, talons or whatever you call them. And nothing. I haven't been self-harming or doing anything or being abused. It's the little visiting puppy, Binky, who I totally love. Okay, so I think I need to put a little bit of red in. And it just gets a little bit darker as it goes towards the center. You just want it to darken up there. See there? Yeah. Just darken up. Just a teeny weeny bit. That really helps it, don't you think? They may not be perfect specimens of primroses, but my next video that I'm going to do for you is a little bit more realistic, showing how to paint them if you're painting them actually on a background. So now you can put a little bit of water on this watercolor pencils. So I tend to use a brand called Derwent. I really like them. And so I have the Inktense and I have just regular. And then you always sort of paint outwards like this. So then a final step here is that we want to add a little bit of white around the edge. And then maybe, not final, maybe we've got a little bit more. And I'm using what's I call, this is acrylic gouache. You can use any kind of gouache. The trouble with acrylic gouache, it actually stops, you know, when it dries, you can't use it anymore. So I'm just using tiny little bit here of white, just around the edge here. Just a bit of white. There we go. And maybe we've got a little bit of white just in the middle here too. Look at that. That kind of gussies it up, doesn't it? Looking prettier and prettier as we go. And then white around the edge. Because they really do kind of whiten as they go around the edge. I'm putting a bit of white, but don't make the mistake of using your gouache outside, like just plain on the paper, to get rid of unwanted paint or anything, because it really shows. You can use it, however, you know, on top of your watercolor here, and it'll be quite nice. Just give it that little bit of extra oomph. And we are also going to be doing some gouache paint. Now, what will you know, I can see you're asking me. So what the heck is gouache paint? Well, gouache paint is paint that is just like watercolor, only it's got a white base. And so it is completely non-see-through. It's not transparent like watercolor. It's and that is super useful. There we go. There's my flowers. And the end, you know, the last thing I'm going to do here, I'm going to put a little bit of darkness and lightness into my green leaves here. Just going underneath them here. So the light is going to come down, so underneath here it's going to be just a little bit darker. There we go. And it gives it a little. So here you can see I'm putting in the finishing touches with a little bit of dark underneath the different leaves and so forth, just to give it a little bit of oomph. And I think it does, just a little final thing. You know, you do these little things. And once I'm done, I'm then going to remove all that paper from the side. I'm just touching up the flowers here. And then I'll remove the masking tape now at a 45-degree angle always. And then that'll come off, and that will be, then we'll be able to lift off the page so you can see it. And then hopefully you're going to join us at our workshop on May the 4th. It's from 10:30 to 12:30 Pacific Standard Time. And I use the code Mother's Day at checkout for a 50% saving if you sign up before the April 30th. So hope you enjoy.